What's up everybody, welcome back to the channel. Today we're talking about knives for scouts and beginners. This is going to be about knives that are really good for younger people or people with smaller hands or people that are just getting started with a knife. There are some things to consider safety-wise when you're looking at getting a knife for the first time. Maybe it's for your kid and you're teaching them how to use a knife. Maybe you're an adult and you've just never used a knife before and you want to do it safely. These are some knives that I suggest you should look at. First up in the folding class is the Junior 9 Swiss Army knife. Now this thing is really cool. It's got a couple of safety features that I think are awesome for people that are just starting out using knives. The first is that the blade is rounded over. There's no point on the blade, so you can't poke yourself accidentally. The second safety feature is that it has a lock on the blade, so it can't be closed accidentally. Because a lot of these knives end up kind of folding up and you end up cutting your finger, so having a lock is a really good feature. To close it up, you just push on the lock. And then the third safety feature, which I really like, the knife actually closes only halfway. So when you go to close the blade, it kind of has some resistance to it, which is really nice because then you don't end up overshooting and clamping your finger in there accidentally. So it's got this like little indent and then you push it again to close the blade. And what's cool about it is that it has the standard Swiss Army knife tweezers, so you can pull out splinters. It's got the toothpick that you'll lose right away, guaranteed. Then it's got the Phillips head screwdriver, really handy, and it's got a saw, so you can actually do a bit of cutting with it. So for a scout that's looking for like a first knife, this is a great option. It's an 85 millimeter size, so it fits a smaller hand really well, and it's lightweight. The scales are actually ergonomic too. They're contoured so that you can have a good place put your thumb when you're carving. The next up is sort of a multi-tool, but it's also sort of a folding knife, is the Gerber Gear arm bar. You've got a bit with interchangeable tools on it, Phillips or a regular bladed screwdriver. You've got a knife that locks, which is really nice. A lot of these tools don't have that. So a locking blade, it's smaller than like a Leatherman, so small hands can get a hold of it really well. And it's got an awl, so you can do some leather work or you can poke some holes in some wood if you need to. And it's got scissors on it. This is an awesome tool for scouts, I think, or for people that are just getting started. Made by Gerber, and I have a discount code. I'll put it down below for this knife if you're interested. Another option is an Opinel. Now, Opinel has like a cult following to it. A lot of people use Opinel knives to cook with. And so if you're just getting somebody started with a knife, maybe you get them this one. This is an Opinel that has a rounded blade. So again, it's not gonna give you any pokes, so they can work on just the dexterity of it and get that mastered before giving them a knife with a point. And it does have a locking collar on it, so you can engage the lock and so the knife won't close accidentally. There we go. There's the Opinel. Next up is one of my favorite Swiss Army knives. This is the Huntsman Swiss Army knife. This has a ton of tools in it. This would be good for someone who has a little bit more experience with a knife, because this is not necessarily a beginner's knife because it doesn't have a locking blade on it. If you've had a folding knife like these other ones before, this is a good step up. You get a lot of tools, saw blades, all kinds of fun stuff. So Huntsman, it's a great tool. This next knife is a sheath knife, and it is a mini sheath knife, which would be great for young people. This is the Pendleton Mini Hunter, made by Cold Steel. This knife is so awesome. When I found this, I was really excited. I would have loved to have had this as a kid. It's got this rubberized grip on it that is so good that it just sticks in your hand. It's really hard to lose purchase on this knife. It's got a good finger safety guard here, so your finger doesn't pop up over the blade. I think the blade is a 2.5 inch blade. That's all you really need. And it's very sharp right from the factory. This would be an awesome knife to give somebody as a first sheath knife. It does have a point, so make sure that the person that's getting this has a little bit of experience with a knife first. But this is great for young people. Next up is the Murakaniv Eldris, which I talk about all the time. This would be great for somebody just starting out because the blade is very small. You don't need a long blade at all when you're doing bushcraft tasks. This is a perfectly acceptable bushcraft knife. It's very, very capable. It's got a point on it in case you need to do some fine work or, you know, skinning of game or anything like that. It's got an awesome handle, so somebody that's just getting started, nice chunky handle to hold on to practice their dexterity with. Moroccaneve Eldris, can't go wrong. And this one is awesome because it is cheap. This is the Moroccaneve Craftline Basic 511, and this or the Companion, which is just a little bit more expensive, are really, really good knives because if you lose them, it's not like a huge investment. They are carbon steel, so you can teach somebody how to properly care for a steel knife without it rusting. So there's that aspect of it that's pretty cool. And it's got a great blade shape to it. It's a Scandinavian grind. So really, really good for whittling, for carving, for doing bushcraft tasks. Highly recommend this for somebody that's just getting into knives. So those are my favorite knives that I would suggest somebody gets as a scout, as a beginner, as a young person, or somebody with small hands that's just getting used to using knives. I hope you found that useful, or at least entertaining. We'll see you later.